الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب السماوات ورب الأرض رب العالمين، وله الكبرياء في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. ربنا لك الحمد حتى ترضى، ولك الحمد إذا رضيت، ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. صل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله وأمينه على وحيه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. My dear respected brother and sister in Islam, all praise and glory and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything we have, and we are completely dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all our needs. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ مَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ حَسَنَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. We come today, inshallah, to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that He has given us, and to pray to Him for guidance and forgiveness and protection, and to renew our pledge and our commitment that we made when we decided to be Muslim. Even though most of us did not make that decision, we just inherited, but it is important to know that being a Muslim is a commitment, it's a covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah calls it ahd wa mithaq, and you have to honor that commitment. You have to know it and you have to honor it. You have to know what did you commit to, and you have to honor your commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today is the day of Muharram, as I mentioned last time. Today is the 7th of Muharram. The 10th of Muharram will be Monday. Highly recommended to fast the day. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did, and he pledged that he lives for another year, he will fast. Some scholars say the 9th or the 11th, another day with the 10th, but at least make plans to fast the day Monday, as a way to show that we care about the Sunnah of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we're trying to do something that he did. And also it's lots of rewards. It's like probably second only to the day of Arafah after Ramadan when it comes to fasting, the day of Ashura. Now there are major incidents that took place in the month of Muharram, and we're gonna inshallah discuss them and reflect on them and try to draw some lessons from them. One is the Hijrah, migration of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Major event, major turning point in the history of Islam and the seerah of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that I don't think was emphasized enough in the books of seerah. Some books of seerah, biography of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they emphasize events that are much less important than this one. This was a huge event, the migration of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his companion, to the point that it was chosen to be the beginning of the calendar. So the Hijri calendar is based on the Hijrah of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It is the day also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa alayhi salam. That's why Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam decided to fast when he asked, and he came to Medina and found that the Jews revere this day, and he asked about what happened. They said this is the day that Allah saved Musa. Said, Musa belongs to us more than belong to you, and we will fast the day. And this also, it is the day or the days when the massacre of Karbala, of the assassination, the killing of the grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hussein alayhi salam, and his companions. It was very brutal massacre that also will reflect on it, and we'll see again all the history is only good for lessons learned. We shouldn't get stuck in history. and you should not try to repeat history. تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم. History is only good for lessons. That's what Quran says. قد كان في قصصهم عبرة. That you read history to draw lessons, not to get stuck in it or not try to recreate it again. As many people, unfortunately, we have Muslim groups who get stuck in history, and we have Muslim groups who are trying to recreate history. And it's the two wrong approaches when it comes to history. It's only good for lessons. Just study it to draw lessons. Now, the incident of Musa alayhi salam and the hijrah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are probably the best examples and illustrations and applications of the concept of tawakkul, putting your trust in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to find examples to teach or to explain or to understand this concept of tawakkul, you will not find better examples than the incident of Musa alayhi salam when he was saved from Fir'aun, and the incident of hijrah. Musa alayhi salam fled based on order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah asked Musa to take his people and flee. أَنَسْرِ بِعِبَادِي لَيْلًا. He was chased by Fir'aun and his soldiers until they came to the Red Sea. It was a dead end. There were no ships, no boats, no way out. Hopeless situation. With our human calculation, it's a hopeless situation. These people are doomed. There is a Red Sea and there is the army of Fir'aun. And that's exactly what the companions of Musa said. قالوا إنا قال أصحاب موسى إنا لمدركون. That's it. We're doomed. We're done. Musa alayhi salam answers by very confident level of certainty. كلا إن معي ربي سيهدين. It's not over yet. Allah is with me and He will make way out for us. Didn't know how, but has that full trust. كلا, just imagine, use your imagination being in that situation. People around you say we're doomed. And you say with full confidence, no, it's not over. Allah not only can make a way, will make a way out for me. كلا إن معي ربي سيهدين. And of course Allah did. Musa alayhi salam had that full confidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who asked him to go to do this, to flee with his people, will not let him down. That's the kind of relationship. It reminds you of similar statement was said by Hajar, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he left her and her son, their son, in the desert, in the middle of nowhere. And she asked, how come you're leaving us here? That's also a hopeless situation. He said, Allah asked me to do that. She said, so Allah will not let us down. That's the level of confidence again. And that's also the statement made by Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was arguing with his people. Inna waliya Allahu alladhi nazzala al-kitab. Allah is my protector. And what are you doing? You are threatening me of things that you can do. Allah is my protector. Inna waliya Allah. Allah is my protector, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Ibrahim alayhi salam. Very powerful tool this tawakkul is. Very powerful. But it is also very delicate. It's not easy to apply. Vast majority of Muslims, they are either not aware of it or they do it the wrong way. Tawakkul, trust, putting your trust in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not mean you don't do your part. خليها على الله. That's not tawakkul. The key statement mentioned by Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam when Sahabi asked him, should I tie my camel or should I just leave it and trust Allah? He said, tie it and trust Allah. Aqilha wa tawakkal. Both. Do your part and then put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amazing. Very simple question by a simple person. Should I do this or that? Should I tie my camel or should I just leave it and Allah will take care of it? He said, tie it and also put your trust in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until now, we are unable to establish that balance between aqilha wa tawakkul. Tie it and also put your trust in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very powerful tool if it is done right. Some people indulge in sins and think that Allah will also take care of things. Allah will not take care of things. When Musa alayhi salam said, Inna ma'i Allah, Allah is with me. These people, they feel that Allah is with them all the time. Not only during that crisis. This ma'iyya, feeling that Allah is with you, should be all the time. It's very important for many reasons. One, it makes you very much more motivated to do good when you remember that Allah is watching. Just to bring the idea closer, people do their best when the boss is around, when the boss is watching, or when there is supervision. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. When you remember that Allah is watching, one, you become more motivated to do good, to meet the expectations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And second, you become also more capable of restraining yourself. You feel ashamed. Now we feel ashamed in front of someone we respect. So how about in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So keeping that in mind, that's part of the formula for that tawakkul, that you have Allah with you all the time, and that one makes you more motivated to do good, two, more capable to restrain yourself, three, makes you very strong. Remember Ibrahim alayhi salam, when they were threatening him, say, Inna wali Allah. Who should fear? You should fear, not me. Me, I have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Myself, I have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with me. So when you have this during the normal time, then when a crisis that is beyond your control, situation beyond your control happens, then you put your trust fully in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with full confidence that Allah will make way out for you, out of that crisis. Now is this something special for prophets? No, it is not. Many of us remember. If you make some effort, you probably remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made ways out for you from hopeless situation. If you remember all your life, you will find there are some situations at certain point in time in your life, there are situations that looks hopeless, and Allah made a way out for you. And that should make you more grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you remember these. أَبُوءُ لَكَ بِنِعْمَتِكَ عَلَيْهِ, and should make you more embarrassed to commit any sin or for the sins that you already committed. Unfortunately, some people, they do it wrong. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them, they forget about it afterwards. Quran in several places tells us about people who, when they were in crisis, they were praying for Allah to save them. فَلَمَّا نَجَّاهُمْ, once He saved them, they forgot about all the pledges they made, and they went back to their old ways. That's very bad. And Quran, to emphasize it, to put it in several places, that's for us to avoid it. Remember Allah during ease. He will remember you during crisis. واذكر الله في الرخاء يذكرك عند الشدة. but not when in crisis you remember Allah and then you forget. Quran again has many verses that talk about this. Hijrah of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, migration. Number one is that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his companions before him, because they migrated before, these people were given a very difficult choice. Your religion on one hand and everything else on the other hand. And that's a tribal society. Being member of the tribe was very important, and going out of the tribe was very bad at that time. It was a very big test for these people. Your religion and everything else. Business, houses, everything else. And they made the right choice. They migrated with their religion only. Some of them left houses, businesses, money, etc. Suhaib, radiallahu anhu, when he was migrating and he was caught by the Quraysh in his way out to Medina, they told him, where are you going? You came here very poor. You think we're going to allow you to go with all the money that you made? He said, immediately, if I tell you about all where my money is, and you leave me alone, allow me to migrate? They said yes. He told them. And then he migrated with nothing. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq used to be very good, successful businessman in Mecca, migrated with nothing. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, etc. Uthman ibn Affan, people were doing very well. In Mecca, they migrated with nothing. That's the first lesson from Hijrah, is when your religion is put on one hand. Don't even look at the other hand. That's the true Iman. And these people, even when their life was on the other hand, they did not hesitate to choose religion always before anything else. That's the first major lessons from the Hijrah. Second, how this Hijrah and migration is related to tawakkul. Now this is the Prophet and his closest companion migrating. I mean, it's very tempting to say Allah will take care of us. Why should we plan? We can just migrate and Allah will protect us and will take care of us. That's not what he did. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as a teacher, his life is teaching us. He was teaching us through his behavior. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not do that. Did not say, Yalla al-barakah, inshallah, things will work out. That's not how he did it. Very careful planning. Very careful planning. Not by that standard, by today's standard. By today's standards, the plan that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq made for Hijrah was very high, excellent plan by today's standards. And by today's standards, even in the most advanced nations. It's a perfect plan. Every detail was taken care of when they were migrating. Until now, we never came close to that level of planning. We never even tried. We have the wrong understanding of tawakkul, which is leave it for Allah, Allah will take care of it. Number one, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prepared, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq prepared 2 camels for that trip. And they made agreement with the best guide. The desert is not a joke. Desert is very complicated. There are the thugs and there are very dangerous to travel in the desert. So they hired the best guide, the one who is the top expert of his time, knowing that desert and knowing the routes, etc. Agreed with him and gave him the camels. They planned to go opposite side. Medina this way, they started in the opposite direction. That's part of the plan. They planned to stay in a cave for 3 days and made arrangement with the guide to come to meet them in the cave after everything settled and after Quraysh gives up on them. and then made arrangement for people to bring them news and supplies, intelligence. What's going on? What Quraysh is planning? What they're talking about? What they're planning? So they got the news and planned with the shepherd, arranged with the shepherd to erase the footsteps. Amazing plan. Yani the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, planning as if he is relying completely on his plans. With all of this, Quraysh was able to locate the cave and to be walking around it, debating whether to go into the cave or discussing. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq heard them talking. And he said a statement very similar to the statement of Ashab Musa. Ashab Musa said, "Inna mudrakun." Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu said, if they look down, they're going to see us. And here, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all that plan was put aside. There is nothing he can do. And then put all his trust in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا تحزن إن الله معنا كلا إن معي ربي سيهدين لا تحزن إن الله معنا. No, Allah is with me. That's what Musa alayhi salam said. So he will make way out for us, for me. And then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, don't worry, Allah is with us. And the hadith, ما بالك باثنين الله ثالثهما. What do you think is going to happen to two people? Allah is their third. That's that delicate balance. Very careful planning to the maximum. You don't take any chance. Even little details has to be planned as if you are relying completely on your plans. And then you rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely for what? For things that are beyond your control. Things that you can do nothing about. That's when you rely. You're preparing for exam, you keep working until the last night. Pushing yourself, staying late at night, using all possible resources. But then in the morning, you're going to take the exam, put your trust in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is nothing more you can do. That's the switch that if you manage to do, you can take advantage of this powerful tool. This tawakkul and dua, they are the most powerful tools in the hands of believers. Many of us are not taking advantage of it, unfortunately. Tawakkul is basically putting or inviting Allah to take care of things that are beyond your control, beyond your capacity, beyond your power. And dua, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take care of your needs. And who can do that more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Dua and tawakkul. Remember the last verse we discussed last time, قُلْ مَا يَعْبَوْ بِكُمْ رَبِّي لَوْلَا دُعَاؤُكُمْ. You are nothing in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if it was not for your supplication, it was not for your dua. So take advantage of these powerful tools that every one of us has. The formula for tawakkul, do it right. And then when you are faced with a situation with full confidence, say it, whether to yourself or to people with you, that no, it's not over, Allah will make way out for me. But it has to be said again with full confidence and trust, and that's what where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts working for you and making things happen or making a way out for you from that crisis. Unfortunately, again, many Muslims don't take advantage. It's never too late to change habits. I mean, we have the Quran, we're not taking advantage of it. It's never too late to fix that. It's never too late to fix your relationship with the Quran. We have the dua, also we're not taking advantage of it. How many of us are really work hard when it comes to the dua and they are regular and they do it intensively, time and again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that you beg Him. Don't say that I made this dua before and nothing happened. Just be persistent. Be persistent in your dua and take advantage of every opportunity that you have to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's a very powerful tool. And also apply this formula of tawakkul and you will see how your life may change completely. Because once you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on your side, Allah will guide you to the best decision. Allah subhanahu and choices. Allah will put barakah in your time, put barakah in your money, put barakah in your health, protect you from many things that were coming your way. Allah becomes on your side. But again, has to be done properly and so that you can get all the results from it. وَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. My dear respected brother and sister in Islam, in these days also there was a very sad moment in the history of Islam and something that probably should make us very ashamed of that incident, which is the assassination, the massacre, the brutal massacre of Al-Hussein alayhi salam, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his companions in a, again, very brutal way in front of women and children, etc. Something beyond imagination. Many of us, unfortunately, are not even aware of this. We don't read about it. And for some reason, there are reasons for this. There are some Muslim groups who took this to the extreme. So the response comes always to the other extreme. Even though our religion is a religion of moderation. To be moderate, to be truthful, to be honest, to be objective. And should not be carried away by any extreme views. There should be consensus about this. This should not be a divisive issue. Should be consensus about this massacre was brutal by all standards, by all measures. And anybody who tried to justify it with the silly reasons should be ashamed of themselves. So that's one thing that we should get it out of the debate. It was a brutal massacre. Nobody should deny it and nobody should justify it. The lesson, the big lesson that we learn from this, that was among the first consequences of Muslims accepting the dictatorship. And it was followed by other incidents that were equally bad. One of them was the massacre of Al-Harra in Medina by the same rulers and the same army went into the Medina and killed so many people, companions, and all kinds of abuse of men and women, etc. And then followed by the besieging Kaaba and throwing fire on Mecca, on Kaaba itself. It's a chain reaction. The main lesson that we should learn from this, that it is very short-sighted to accept oppression and dictatorship just seeking stability and seeking peace of mind. Very short-sighted. You pay heavier price, and we have seen it. The Muslim thought at that time, accepting strong ruler who established law and order, even if he is a dictator, that's fine. We can accept him. And then the power become inherited, and then we ended up in this sequence. The massacres of Karbala, and then the massacre of Al-Harra in Medina, and then the burning Kaaba, and so on and so forth. Why? It all goes back to that incident, that the point where you accept, you give up your rights and justice and freedom, etc., for the sake of security and stability. You lose both. You lose all of them. And Quran is full of verses that talks about Bani Israel. Bani Israel, that's their major problem. The main lesson that Quran wants to communicate to us through the repeating the story of Bani Israel is this, that when people accept dictatorship for a very long time, their personality will be twisted, their character will be twisted, and that's the lesson. And that's the lesson that we missed. The main lesson from the stories of Bani Israel, that for Muslims should not do that. Because that's the problem of Bani Israel, accepting to live under oppression and dictatorship for a very long time. Their personality, their mindset, everything was twisted and spoiled because of that. And unfortunately, we have done it. We have done against what we have done against the teachings of Quran, and we see the results. See where the Muslim world is now. And every day, the cost of fixing it becomes even heavier and higher. That's the main lesson that we learn from the story, from the massacre of Karbala. And again, we should not be sensitive about it. This is not a Shia issue. This is an unjustified, brutal massacre of the grandson of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and hopeless people, helpless people. In a way, as I said, it's beyond imagination when it comes to brutality. It's beyond what you can imagine. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا توفنا وانت راض عنا واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا واجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها وخير أيامنا يوم نلقاك. متعنا اللهم بالنظر إلى وجهك الكريم. ربنا ارحم والدينا كما ربونا صغارا وارحم موتانا وجميع موتى المسلمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. صلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وأقم الصلاة.